Today we're going to be working on a 2018 Lexus NX 300. We're going to be installing a VLite, so we'll be taking out the whole center console here and the display, and we'll show you how to do that. Alright, so we'll first be taking off this side piece of trim over here. To do that, we're just going to use our pry tool. We're going to be pushing out this way, and then at the very top, once everything's loose, you have to pull back. That'll get out this clip right here. And as you can see, the rest of them are all horizontal. And next we'll move to the other side over here, where we'll be doing the same exact thing. And as you can see here, it's got the clip up front as well, and then all the same clips that are sideways. Alright, next we'll be taking off this piece in the center. For that we're going to use our pry tool again. It's easiest if you can get under this corner over here, and then just pry out. There's also this piece of trim here that you can take out. And this just pulls out. And it's just 6 clips that hold that in. And from here, we're going to move on to taking off the big piece of silver trim here. Alright, so to get the silver trim off, we need to take this piece off. So this lower knee bolster here, we just need to pop down. We're just going to use our pry tool for that. You just want to pull it down a little bit so that this piece can come out. There we go. And I just pulled on the bottom, but you can pry from the top. Either way, it's just those clips holding it in. And then this is what the knee bolster was holding in. That's how we need to remove it. Now we'll move over to the passenger side. So next we'll be taking off this piece here, along with the air vent. And to do that, we're just going to pry from the top. And if you pry along the bottom, you should be able to get the rest loose. There you go, as you can see, it's just the clips are on the outside, no bolts or anything. And then lastly, we'll be taking off the silver piece of trim here. Alright, so the last piece is taking off this. And you want to pry it up, but you do want to pull it towards you. So I'm kind of guiding the pry tool back towards me. So as you can see, they all go in horizontal like that. And then we've got to do 2 10mm up here, and then we'll be able to remove this whole piece and the display. Alright, we're ready to take these 2 10mm out. And from there, we're going to use our pry tool. And we're going to start at the bottom. And once you pop the 2 bottom pieces loose, you're just going to be lifting around and popping everything else loose. Alright, so now that we've got the trim loose and the display out, you can pull on the display and it'll actually come out of the trim. There we go. And now that that's out, we're going to be working on the back side here, disconnecting all of these. And then we'll need to get this out. There we go. And now we've got the display loose. We can move on to disassembling the AC and pulling the radio out. Alright, so we have the display out, we have the silver trim removed from the vehicle for now. Next we'll be removing this panel. There's going to be 2 clips back here, 2 up here. You simply just pull on it. And then we're going to have 1 plug back here we need to disconnect. Sorry, 2 plugs. These 2 here. One's located at the top and then one in the middle on the passenger side. Now that that's out, we're going to be working on getting out the radio here, which means we need to remove the center console area. Alright, so we'll start with the shifter here. You'll just need to pull down on the boot. And then you can take off the knob here by twisting it counterclockwise. There we go. And then this whole piece just lifts up. You need to pop it loose. There's multiple clips around it. So we'll do that now. And once all those are loose, you can pull it out and just set that to the side. And now we'll be removing the radio. Alright, so to take the radio out, there's going to be 2 10mm on either side. And before we pull the radio out, we are going to shift down So we're going to push this in here, which is the shift release. Make sure your vehicle has a parking brake on, or you have your foot on the brake so it doesn't roll away if you're in neutral. And we'll remove these two 10mm. And now that those are out, this will just pull straight out. And we can start disconnecting everything back here. Alright, so the first cable we'll be installing will be behind the radio. That'll be our MC LEX9 cable. And we'll be connecting that to these two connectors here. Alright, and now that those are connected, we can go ahead and move on to the display. Alright, so the next cable will be behind the display here, and that'll be our GV9 MF cable. And that'll be these two connectors here that'll go behind the display. We'll be plugging in the factory male into the female, and then we'll leave this one hanging to plug into the display when we get it back in. And then we're going to go ahead and route our cables down to the radio area. And we'll leave a little bit of slack by the display, just so we have room to plug in. And that should be good right there. And then next we'll be running everything over to the glove box, so we'll show you how to drop that and where we're going to be installing everything. Alright, so to remove the glove box, we're going to be taking off this down here. You can just push against it. And then once that's loose, you can just pull in on the side and pull down. We'll do the same on the driver's side. And then the glove box will come down. If it doesn't come off down here, you just simply pull. It'll come off of these. And now we've got this hole here that we can run all of our wires through. Alright, so the cables came right from the radio area over here, and they just go directly through. So we're going to pull our slack through here. And then from here, we'll be working on our cable management behind the radio, and then we'll show you how to reinstall everything. Alright, so we've got everything cable managed here. We ran the GVMF, or GV9MF in this vehicle behind this right here. So the VLine can just pull up and come out. And then put it back in place, just slide back in. And then you just gotta pull this back a tiny bit. And that's the pressure that actually keeps it in place as well, as from here and then from the sides, so you can't go anywhere like that. We ran the cables along the side of the glove box here, behind here, and directly back behind the radio. Alright, so we're going to be connecting everything back here. And the GV9MF that we send for the display will connect back here, but it will not work. If you do that, the display won't work for the factory side. So make sure you get that installed behind the display and that you're only plugging the factory GV9MF connector behind the radio. Alright, now I've got those inserted, we need to go ahead and shift this back down into drive so that we can put the radio back in. And we're just going to make sure we didn't forget any cables in here. Looks like there's just one more we forgot. We've got these down here for the navigation as well. Make sure you don't forget those. So all the cables are in place. You can put the radio in, and then just push to get all the clips to go in. And now we're ready to put the two 10mm back in. And now we can move to put the center console back in. Alright, so we'll put this back in now as well. And you just want to slide it over where it goes. And then we need to put the shifter knob in place. And once it's in place, you just push around on all the corners, make sure it fully goes in. And now we'll move on to the AC and display. Alright, so now we'll be plugging this in here. Plug the plug up top. And the black one that's on the passenger side. There we go. And it's going to be the 2 on the bottom and the 2 clips up top. And now I can put in the display and the silver trim. Alright, so the first step of putting this in is going to be up top. So I'm going to pull this out, and then I'm going to seat it above where it goes. So I want to make sure this driver's side over here, the clip goes in at an angle like this. You want to make sure it's lined up. And I'll pop that in, pop in the bottom, and then just work my way around until the very top. And now we're ready for the display. Alright, so we've got the silver trim back in place. We're ready to start putting in our display. It's going to be our GV9MF here. Make sure it's plugged in at the display. And then we'll do our other connectors. And the last part will be this clip down here. Keep all of our wires nice and in place. There we go. And now we can slide this in. You want to put it in at a bit of an angle like this, and you can line up the top, and then you just push it back. You'll hear the 2 clips go in when it's in place. And now we can move on to the 2 10mm bolts. And the last piece to go up there will be the top trim. And when you put this in, you need to go in at an angle as well. To get the back clips in, and I'm going to pull it out a little bit and push it back in to get the front 2s in. And from there, we'll come back and put in the side pieces of trim. Alright, so we'll be putting in this piece of trim next by the start stop button. As you can see, all the clips here, and don't forget this bottom piece here. So we've got the knee bolster still partially undone. So we'll bend that back a little bit and slide this into place. Push that in, and then the knee bolster can now go in. And now we'll move on to the passenger side. Alright, and for this one, we're just going to be lining all the clips up and sliding it in place. And make sure the air vent's in the right location as well. There we go. Now that's in place. And we'll move on to our side panels and our center console next. Alright, so we'll start with our shifter knob here. Put that in place and spin it clockwise. And you want to just get that to where it's tight. And slide that up into place. And then we'll go to this piece next. I'll just pop in here. I've got the mirror as well. Put that on. And this last piece of trim for the center. There we go. And we'll move on to our side pieces here. And so we'll be sliding this in the very front by the dash first. And then you just push in. Do the same on this side. And lastly, we'll be putting in the glove box. Alright, so next we're going to put in the glove box. We're going to line up the bottom here so it goes onto these 2 clips. And we'll slide it up into place. And lastly, you'll have to hook this onto the side. There we go. And now we've got the glove box back together, and we're ready to test.